This past October, my oldest daughter got her driver's license, and my husband gave her the keys to his old car. And I stood in my front picture window and I watched Tegan, that's her name, drive out of our driveway for the first time by herself. And I was nervous. But I was also having a feeling of remembering my dad, a flashback of my dad handing me the keys to his car. It's an actual memory of his hands dropping the keys in my hands. His hands, they're calloused. And there's a permanent darkening stain in the ridges of his fingerprints. His hands cause him pain. You know, he has something called trigger finger. It's like this finger gets stuck like this from like 40 years of welding. My dad's hands, they show signs of hard work. I come from a family of hard workers. He is a hard worker. But don't let that fool you. Because underneath it all, he makes my heart pinch because he is so tender-hearted. A perfect example is a few years back, a baby bird fell from the tree. My dad took the bird, nursed it back to health, and set it free back into the wild. Year after year after year, this bird returned back to my dad and landed on his shoulder every year. The man had to keep extra shirts in his car because every time he left the house, the bird would land on his shoulder and shit on his back. And he didn't even care. He has always kind of been one with nature. When I was really young, he was a marathon bicyclist, and then he passed the love of bicycling on to me, and he always made sure I had a really good bike. I think we bonded over the solitude of riding our bike down a country road with the wind in our face. Later, my dad would become an avid backpacker, so much so that our every single vacation was now going into the middle of nowhere, like Dolly Sods, West Virginia, and hiking up a mountain. And as a teenager, I could never appreciate just how freaking awesome that is. I mean, the life lessons that backpacking teaches you, everything I would have to have for the whole week, I had to carry. Everything I wanted to eat, I had to feel the weight of on my back. You know, you get to disconnect from the world, spend time with your family, bathe in the river. It's insane, you know. But one night, I opened up my tent and I seen my dad sitting by himself by the fire, so I went out and I sat down next to him. And he just hands me his brandy flask and says, "Keep warm." That's my dad. So in late fall of 1997, when the phone rang, it was my aunt, Tracy, and that's my dad's sister. She's the aunt or the family member that escaped the small town, left it, seen the world, joined the military. She was calling from Alaska, and she was saying to everyone, "I'm moving back to Ohio to be closer to family. And I'm going to go to Cincinnati, Ohio. I want Nicole to come with me. I'm going to get her a job, a seasonal position at the IRS as a data transcriber, and maybe in the fall I'll get her into college." You see, at the time that the phone rang, I had just graduated high school and I got a job at the local newspaper. This will totally make sense if you're in like an 18-year-old's mind. I was going to be a writer, so getting a job at the local newspaper made a lot of sense. Yeah. But after many, many months, I found myself still just stuffing ads in the back with all the old retired ladies. It wasn't working out the way I thought. So my dad came to me and he said, "Nick, your aunt's moving to Cincinnati. She's got you a job. She's going to get you into college. Pack your bags." "Dad, I can't go. I already have a job. I was like, yeah, she's going to get you a better job. It's like, Dad, I can't go. I don't have any money. He's like, that's what the job is for. Dad, I can't go. I don't have a car. And he said, you can have my truck. I said, Dad, I can't take your truck. How are you going to get to work? And he said, I'll ride my bike. And by bike, he meant his bicycle in late fall, early winter in northern Ohio. He didn't even hesitate. And he loved that truck. It was a Chevy S10, manual stick shift, red and gray. And if I think about my dad and I think about the truck, I can see him driving it up into our backyard, getting a bucket, the hose, soap, a sponge, because he would wash it, wax it, and vacuum it. Like, he took immaculate care of this truck. And then he gave me his truck. And I rode the shit out of that truck. Let me tell you about the year of the truck. I blew up 2 transmissions. One time because I forgot to put oil in, or I didn't know to put oil in it. The second time because I forgot to put oil in it. I backed into 2 cars on 2 separate occasions. One week it was pouring rain all week, and I was driving down a country road, and I wanted to get my lighter, so I bent down to pick it up. I missed a 90-degree turn. I ramped up off into the sky, landed in the middle of a wet, sopping cornfield where I sunk foot deep. I had to have the police come out and a special tow truck just to get it out. Later, I was driving down I-71 in the middle of a winter snowstorm between Columbus and Cincinnati, that long stretch where there's nothing, and my car, the truck, it breaks down. And this is pre-cell phone, so every 10 minutes I had to go out and brush that car off in hopes that somebody would find me. But I don't know if it was my youth or maybe the truck. I didn't mind. I just sat in the car and waited for someone to find me. That truck drove me to my life. In hindsight, I now understand that my dad was forcing me to go out and live my life. It was like he was sacrificing to give me a game piece on the game board of life. Where would my life be today without that truck? I don't know. So, as I stood in that picture window and I watched my daughter drive her dad's car out of the driveway, I thought to myself, God, I hope she's not like me. And note to self, make sure she knows to put oil in. But mostly I thought about my dad and what he did for me. I never did become that fancy writer, but that's okay, I get to do this. But what I did do is I did get my college education. I'm the first person in my family to get a degree. And I got my bachelor's in science and nursing. Let me tell you what, my life is awesome. It's incredible, it's crazy, it's hectic. I get to be a nurse. I get to get up every day and go to work and maybe change somebody's life. It's incredible. But I want you to know that getting my nursing degree was one of the hardest things I accomplished in my life. But you know what? Hard work is in my blood. Hard work, they are my hands. And I got my dad to thank for that.